How's it going out there, music maker? My name's Griffin, and welcome to Mandolin Secrets. In today's lesson, I'm going to be showing you the chords to Southern Flavor, the classic Bill Monroe tune that was released on the album of the same title in 1988. If you haven't had a chance to check out our lesson on the melody, definitely go check that one out now so you can learn how to play the tune to this one as well. Before we go ahead and dive into the lesson though, if you haven't had a chance to hit that subscribe button below and the bell notification button, please do so. That's a great way to get notified whenever we upload a new video here to Mandolin Secrets. Also, if you're interested in a more enhanced learning experience with PDFs of the tablature and sheet music to all of our tunes, as well as backing tracks, play-along tracks, and access to our community of mandolin players on their journey, definitely check out the link below in the description to mandolinsecrets.com. There you'll find information about our Mandolin Secrets Academy and how to sign up. Alright, let's go ahead and dive into talking about Southern Flavor. If you had a chance to watch that melody video that we put out here at Mandolin Secrets, you'll know that one of the kind of hotly debated topics surrounding this tune is what are the actual chord changes to Southern Flavor. There are some discrepancies even on the recording and some of the live cuts that you can see Monroe playing back in the 80s and early 90s. Bill Monroe in his melody part goes from a G major to an F sharp major to an E minor. But if you look at his guitar player Tom Ewing at the time on a few different live cuts that are available on YouTube, Tom is actually playing a G major to a D major with an F sharp note in the bass to an E minor. The kind of main thing that we want to point out here is the main kind of function of this part of the tune is to go from a G to an F sharp to an E. It's just a descending line to get us back to the root of the key. But there are a number of different ways to get there, like I just pointed out. So in order to keep up with that kind of debate and those two different strains in the bluegrass community, I've given you two versions of the chords here today. One where we play a D major shape, and the other where we play an F sharp. Just keep that in mind whenever you're jamming on this tune with other people. Be sure to ask them, which version of the chords are you playing? Because that's something I definitely came up in my playing career here. I usually opt for the D with the F sharp in the bass, but when I'm playing mandolin, I still play that A sharp note. So there's that kind of dissonant clash. A lot of people see that as the true character of the tune, but some other folks don't really like the sound of that dissonance, so they choose one or the other in terms of that D versus the F sharp. Okay, before we go ahead and dive into the demonstration of these tunes, I just want to run through the chord shapes that we're going to be using here really quickly. So the first one is an E minor shape. It's going to have our ring finger on the 9th fret of the G, index finger on the 5th fret of the D, and then middle finger on the 7th fret of the A string, and then block out that high E. We don't want that one squeaking through there, okay? So that's the E minor shape that we've chosen to use here today. On the chords, it's written B7, but we're actually just going to play a normal B major chord. The guitar typically plays a B7 chord, which is why I wrote that there. But we're just using our standard B chord chop shape here. So pinky is going to be on the 11th fret, ring finger is going to be on the 9th fret of the D string, index finger is on the 6th fret of the A, and then middle is on the 7th of the E. So that's your B chord shape right there. We already reviewed the G chord. It's that same shape as the B chord, just moved back with your pinky on the 7th fret, ring on the 5th, index on the 2nd, and middle on the 3rd fret of that high E. Our D chord, which we reviewed. And then there's one kind of curveball chord that you get thrown there in the B part, an E major chord. So it's just our E minor shape that we looked at, but you scooch that index finger up into the 6th fret. So it ends up being fret numbers low to high. It would be 9, 6, 7. And then in the alternate chord changes, we're using this F sharp chord shape like I mentioned before. One quick note, A lot of times Bill Monroe doesn't actually use full chord chop shapes when he's playing behind people. Watch any of the live cuts of Southern Flavor that are out there, and you'll see half the time he doesn't even play rhythm, period. But on that descending part, Monroe actually plays this for his G chord. So it's just index on the 4th fret of the G, and then middle on the 5th fret of the D. Just two notes, a double stop. And then for his F sharp, he moves that back, and then either back up to that E minor, or sometimes he'll play that E minor. Also, just another quick note, for the chord changes on this, we're going to be using a basic bluegrass chop where I'm just chopping on beats 2 and 4 of every measure. So we're not doing anything really fancy in the rhythm, because that's how Monroe typically treated this tune. One thing that you might want to consider too, Monroe, when he chops his chords, uses a bit of what I would call like a longer articulation, where you can hear more of the individual notes before he clamps them off. So it's... But in this version, my chop is a little different than Monroe's, and I think that's more typical of like what a modern bluegrass chop would be, where you clinch it off a little quicker, like... You can choose whichever sound you like best, but just know that there is kind of like some variance in how you can chop over a bluegrass tune like this. So don't be afraid to kind of mess with that a little bit. Okay, that's enough for the chord review here. Let's go ahead and dive into the demonstration. The way I'm going to organize this today, I'm going to give you a slow version of the chord changes with a D major in them first, then a slow version of the chords with an F sharp in them, and then we're going to double the tempo to 216 beats per minute and go through at full tempo and play both of those versions of the chords. So let's go ahead and dive into that first slow version. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, my friend, that's it for the version 1 chords with a D major. Now let's look at that other version where we have an F sharp in place of the D major. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, my friend, that's it for the slow demos on this. Let's go ahead and dive into the full tempo versions of these. We're going to start again with that version of the chords that has a D major, and this is at 216 beats per minute. One thing I want to mention, if any of these versions are a little too fast for you, don't hesitate to use that gear icon below and slow the tempo down to something that's a little more appropriate for where you are with your playing right now. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alrighty, that's it for the version with the D major. Let's go ahead and play the full tempo version with that F sharp major chop chord shape in there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, my friend, that's it for the demonstration on the chords to Southern flavor. Like I said, you might want to check with your jam buddies whenever you're going to call this tune at your local jam circle, just because some people prefer different chord changes over the others, so it's good to know both, right? I don't like to get into the middle of the debate. I just learn both chord changes and play whatever the situation calls for, and I think that's not a bad way to go. Okay, my friend, that's it for the chords lesson here on Southern Flavor. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you get a lot of mileage out of this tune. I know I have over the years, and this is a really great standard that most people in the bluegrass realm will know, so definitely try and call this one at your next jam. All right, my friend, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next video.